Hello to you all. This is an introduction of African economy. The continent of Africa is blessed and full of natural resources, as from the north to the south and the east to the west. For mineral resources in one hand, there are diamonds, gold, iron ore, bauxite, aluminium, uranium, phosphate, and many others. On the other hand, there are varieties of agricultural produce and fertile soil. As for tourism, it is full of wildlife, sea creatures, beautiful landscape, woodland, deep forests, waterfalls, lakes, running water from hills to the valleys, the wonderful sea view, the cloud, the snow, the rainbow reflecting on the mountain from end to end, the inactive volcanic mountains, the sand dune, the desert, and the semi-arid areas. You may find all these natural resources in the continent of one race Africa. But yet, the Africans are dying of hunger, drought, malnutrition, immigrating to other continents for survival. If the question is to be answered, who are responsible for the impoverishment of African economy? Let us look into the economy of each one of the countries in Africa. Then you may give your opinion if wish. The world is part of Africa, and Africa is part of the world we live in. Do not destroy the wonders and beauties of our only beloved earth. Thank you so much. The economy of Egypt. The adoption of the opening door policies in late 1970s, macroeconomic reforms in 1980s and 1990s has helped the private sectors in achieving a higher share in Egyptian economy. The tourism industry of the country has increased very fast with the international tourist arrivals, and hopefully Egypt will be the largest tourist receiving country in the African continent in the near future. Egypt's economy depends mainly on agriculture, media, petroleum imports, natural gas, and tourism. There are also more than 3 million Egyptians working abroad, mainly in Saudi Arabia, the Persian Gulf, and Europe. The completion of the Aswan High Dam in 1970 and the resultant of Lake Nasser have altered the time-honored place of the Nile River in the agriculture and ecology of Egypt. A rapidly growing population, limited arable land, and dependence on the Nile all continue to overtake resources and stress the economy. Egypt has a developed energy market based on coal, oil, natural gas, and hydropower. Substantial coal deposits in the northeast Sinai are mined. Oil and gas are produced in the western desert regions, the Gulf of Suez, and the Nile Delta. Egypt produces its own energy and is rapidly becoming a net importer of natural gas. economic conditions have started to improve considerably after a period of stagnation due to the adoption of more liberal economic policies by the government, as well as increased revenues from tourism and a booming stock market. The International Monetary Fund has rated Egypt as one of the top countries in the world undertaking economic reforms. Some major economic reforms undertaken by the government include a dramatic slashing of customs and tariffs. Although one of the main obstacles still facing the Egyptian economy is the limited trickle-down of wealth to the average population, many Egyptians criticize their government for higher prices of basic goods, while their standard of living or purchasing power remains relatively stagnant. Corruption is often cited by Egyptians as the main impediment of further economic growth. Egyptian society is moderately unequal in terms of income distribution, with an estimated 35 to 40% of Egypt's population earning less than the equivalent of $2 a day, while only around 2 to 3% may be considered wealthy. Suez Canal. The Suez Canal is an artificial sea level waterway in Egypt, considered the most important center of the maritime transport in the Middle East, connecting the Mediterranean Sea and the Red Sea. Opened in November 1869. After 10 years of construction work, it allows ship transport between Europe and Asia without navigating around Africa. The northern terminus is Port Said, and the southern terminus is Port Tawif at the city of Suez. Ismailia lies on its west bank from the halfway point. The canal is deep and wide. It consists of the northern access channel and the southern access channel. The canal is a single lane with passing places in the Bala bypass and the Great Bitter Lake. It contains no locks. Seawater flows freely through the canal. In general, the canal of the Bitter Lakes flow north in winter and south in summer. The current south of the lakes changes with the tide at Suez. Energy. Egypt is the largest oil producer that is not member of the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, and the second largest dry natural gas producer in Africa. Egypt was the largest consumer of oil and natural gas in Africa, as more than 20% of total oil consumption and more than 40% of total dry natural gas consumption in Africa. Also, Egypt possesses the largest oil refining capacity in Africa. It is currently planning to build its first nuclear power plant in Daba City in northern Egypt.